what do you think is the biggest problem facing our youth today in South Africa, in the world, all over the world?
I think it's that there's very little direction for our youth. I think that there is so much information available to the youth today. You know, when I wanted to know something when I was a teenager, I had to go to the library and look up in the encyclopedia. Nowadays, we are an instant gratification world. We look up on the internet. We like a song, we download it quickly. We Shazam it, which is the best app ever. Shazam it, download that song. We've got it. We had to wait for the album to come out and then buy it and save up our pocket money. But there's this information everywhere. Everything is available. But what do you do with all of that information? And I don't feel like there's enough guidance guiding our youth into the direction in which they will be going. There are going to be careers that they will invent and start that are not even around nowadays. We can't even imagine that job would be available to someone. And our youth are going to start that. And we are, I think, as always, the generation ahead is always judgmental of the youth. I mean, we've heard for so long about how they judge the millennials. I mean, you're a millennial. I mean, you've heard it. Now we're judging this new generation. We need to stop judging them. We need to start embracing them and embracing the knowledge that they're going to bring forward, but help them and direct them forward and direct them in the right way, and to teach them morals and values that are a little bit skewed these days because of what they are exposed to. So I think it's really just giving them that direction and trusting them and believing in them and showing them that they are of value in this very unusual world.
Yeah, and especially this year is a very unusual year.
Very.
I was a teacher actually for 11 years, and when I went to school, we used to have the teacher come into the classroom and be all boring, and you know what teachers used to be like. And then a new teacher, young teacher like me, comes into the classroom, and I've got all these crazy ideas and wonderful technological ideas and all these things. And then the older teachers are like, but what are you doing? It doesn't work like that. It can't work like that. And then we have to actually, as a younger generation, go and prove to them that, but it works better than what it worked when you were in school. Because when you were in school, it was like this. Nowadays, kids actually perform better when they are interacting and group work and technological stuff.
Well, you're getting into their world.
Yes.
I know of people who refuse to give their teenagers a cell phone and refuse to let them have social media. Once, they're 16, they can't have Instagram. And whilst I completely respect every parent's decision in that regard, I also think that, are you serving your child by not allowing them to live in the world in which they actually live in?
Yes. No, that's
yeah.
True. That's
so
true.
We have to adapt and we have to get into their world. And as a parent of teenagers, I need to understand the apps that my children are on. So if my kids download Snapchat, I'm on Snapchat and I'm learning Snapchat, and they're like, "Oh, Mom, do you have a Snapchat account?" I say, "I do."
Following you.
And because I have to understand it, and I've actually started learning. I mean, I even have a TikTok account, not that I've posted anything yet, so don't worry. My kids are like, "Please, Mom, do not start doing TikToks." But I'm actually going to use it for my business, for my modeling school.
Yay.
And we're going to start doing TikToks in the modeling academy. And, so we actually have to have an understanding of what the world that our children are living in is like, so that we can protect them, that we can guide them, but also that we can enjoy it with them.
Yes.
I don't want to be a parent or a coach that has no idea how to relate to the youth of today. They're amazing. I love them. They're amazing.
Yes. I always say to the kids, the school where I taught, where majority of my kids came from townships, I used to say to the kids, I actually admire you guys, because you come from difficult circumstances. Even though you don't live before you weren't even born before 1994, you are still actually reaping from that situation, from those years. And it's going to take our country many, many years for our kids to actually, for all of us to be on the same level, because there's always
very long time and very hard.
Yeah, there's always one group that will suppress another group.
And that's the sad reality of human beings. And I don't understand it. It's not who I am as a person. I'm such a liberal-minded person. I'm too liberal for some people, I think. But, I'll tell you an interesting story. In 1994, I was in matric. And on the 10th of May, which is my birthday, Nelson Mandela was inaugurated as our president
Oh,
on my birthday in Matric, and it was a public holiday in South Africa. And I was in Matric, and they said, no, you can't take off. You guys can't afford to miss a day. So we had to go into school, but we could go in civvies. And the whole day they had TVs in every classroom. I mean, you know, like an old box TV they wheeled in so we could watch. And while we were doing the lesson, they had the inauguration on the TV. And it was just such an amazing day. And Nelson Mandela said something, it may have been that day or around that time, but he said, you know, you need to be the change that we need in this world. You need to, as the youth, do something of real tangible difference. And it was then that I decided that one day I would adopt a child. And I was very lucky that I married a man that was open to that. And so I have my black son and my white son, my ebony and my ivory. And I love it. I love the fact that that dream came true. And that was inspired by Nelson Mandela. So it was a very special time to be alive. To be alive and actually witness that. It was really special. I'm very grateful that I got to do that.
I was only 6 years old when Mandela was when he became president. So I was very small. I didn't even understand.
Yeah.
I was then my child size that is now. I didn't understand anything.
No.
The only thing I remember from apartheid was we went to the store the one day with our cleaning lady, our domestic lady, and we went to the store and she said to me, no, you can go inside. And I was small. I was really small. And I said to her, but why can't you come inside with me? And she said, no, I'm not allowed inside. And I could never understand that. And only as I got older and I learned more about apartheid and all the segregation and all those things, did I actually realize how terrible it was. But yes, there's different people, different situations, some people say actually they enjoyed it more under apartheid or not enjoyed, they lived better under apartheid than they do now. But
Yeah.
I think
You know, when people say that to me, you know, I mean, you have the odd person who still says that, and I say, but better for who?
Yeah.
You know, because if the majority of our nation, it wasn't better for. And we have our problems these days, we definitely do. But people are living better. I mean, we still have a huge poverty gap, and we need to, that just is going to take so long to recover. Yeah. But you know, we the majority of people still have their freedom, and you can never take away someone's freedom is terrible. And I think about it, having a black son and a white son. You know, if I was to go to a shopping center and we couldn't sit on the same bench, I mean, it just hurts my heart that someone would treat my son differently because he is of color. And I can't, I mean, I was alive during, you know, the 80s, but I was born in Zimbabwe, and we came from Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe was a lot more liberal. And so I was raised by parents who were a lot more integrated, and, you know, I had friends of different colors. I lived on a farm, and we had our friends, and our friends were all over, you know, all in our whole lives. You know, we'd play in our home, and we'd play in the garden, and my parents would bring out lunch, and it was for everyone. And we never ever had they eat here or we eat here, and it was never an us and them situation. It was always an us, a collective us. So I was very lucky to be raised that way. Yeah. Obviously, we were, you know, influenced in our schools, but I was just very lucky that I wasn't touched too much by it. But then again, we weren't exposed as much, and therefore didn't know as much as what was going on. So, you know, when the 90s came, I started high school, I started questioning things, I started hearing things. And yeah, I'm very glad that I lived to see the end of apartheid in that time, and actually was old enough to really grasp the enormity of it, because it made a huge impact in my life. And but I am very grateful to be raised the way I was raised. So I'm lucky.
Yeah, my father's side of the family is very English, so they're quite liberal, but yes, they were also, you know, a little bit still, you know. And then my mom's family was all Boere, so, you know, yeah, what it used to be like. You should have heard the stories and the sayings when I said I'm going to work at a school where 90% of my kids are black. Yeah, that was a story.
Well, you know,
for another day.
hopefully they've changed their perception. You know, I often say with my children that everywhere we go, we change people's perceptions, because there will always be someone who finds our family interesting or unusual. And it's up to us to prove to them that love has no barriers. Love is love.
Yeah.
And my son loves me and I love him. And I've raised him since he was 3 weeks old. And you know what? Love is just love, and it has nothing to do with anybody else. And I will not take anyone else's judgment, but I take the opportunity to change perceptions, because people's perceptions have changed and people have grown. And we need to give credit, I believe, to South Africa, because we really have made a conscious effort to live inclusively, all races. The majority of our country are wonderful people. They are honest, hardworking, friendly, loving, kind people. The majority. We only have a small minority that try to ruin it for the rest of us. And we need to keep pushing through as a collective nation in South Africa for the betterment of our country, because we are really good people.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go on, because otherwise we're going to have to do an interview just for that topic.
Yeah.
I love talking about stuff like that. Okay, in any case, let's quickly see which achievement, if we look and we list all your achievements here that you've listed, there are many, many, many. I think 2 pages full of achievements. But which achievement of those are you the most proud of?
I think being published, being the first baby photographer in the entire continent of Africa to actually be published. I didn't publish myself. I got published by Penguin Random House, which is a major publishing house. And my book became a bestseller in South Africa, selling 7,800 copies within 3 months.
Wow.
Which is huge. Most South Africans, I read an article and they said most South African authors sell between 500 and 800 copies of their books completely in all, which is terrible. We should be supporting our South African authors.
Yeah.
And we have some amazing South African authors, so we really should be supporting them. But I sold 7,800 copies of my first book, and then I got published a second time. So my first book had a print run, 3 print runs, and then I had a new version come out, and then that, I actually don't know what the stats are on that, but it sold over 5,000 copies. But that I think is a major achievement for me. It was a goal that I had in my mind that I didn't know would ever come true, and it really was amazing that it did.
That's amazing. I wish one day I'll still write a book, a kid's book.
You should do it.
Yeah, one day when life is not in the way.